Welcome back to the Ikko Abridged, where last time we were trying to conquer Kyushu as fast as we could, but Realm Divide is going on and we're starting to suffer some pains. We also are suffering from a lot of Buddhist rebellions right now, with enemy monks all over the place, causing them to spawn. And we had one of our vassals, the Mogami Betrayers, instantly taking down one of our castles, and there's going to be more of that to come because their army's still on the move. They swing around from the previous place they took to a new place, and once again the garrison's not looking all that good, but in this case I decided to do the last stand manually to pick up some kills here, especially considering that this enemy army is packed with pure trash, so we do have some potential. Unfortunately, we got this really small castle that I've never seen before, and that's a problem because the enemy archers will be able to hit me like anywhere. We can't reel them in and force them to climb, they'll just be shooting at me from outside the whole time, meaning that the last stand won't be going all that well. But there will be pockets of success here, because where the enemy are attacking with their Yari militia, they're going to be terrible, and things like my Katana Samurai garrison, Katana Retainers, will do absolutely fine against them and trade extremely well with 10-to-1 numbers. So good stuff. Now we just stand there and see how many of them die. We're going to get a similar effect with these Bow Warrior Monks, which I didn't really expect, but they're also really good in melee, especially when compared to things like Yari Militia. So we're going to be mowing people down with a couple of our units. The rest, our regular Ashikaru units, will trade okay, but not good enough to do anything special, especially with arrows raining all over the place, taking us out easily. I was trying to shoot back out at the enemy archers to stop that happening, but soon my archers are locked in melee as well, and there's nothing we can do. Really, the strategy is over at this point in the fight. We just wait and see if anything happens. We did get a lot of kills, but unfortunately nowhere near enough to chain rout the enemy army and get away with this, so the balance bar's not looking good a while later. But we are still mowing enemies down, like right here. Our surviving Bow Warrior Monks are taking out these archers who've decided to climb up into the castle for some reason and shoot them at point blank range. Those are some nice easy kills for us to pick up. And our Katana Retainers are still going over here as well. They've thinned out the big crowd of enemies attacking them, but they couldn't quite defeat them. Here we are at the very end with our last guy holding on, but the enemy have captured the central point, so we're going to lose without picking up a few extra kills. That's that. A costly enemy victory. We did kill more than half of them, and that's pretty good because that's going to make them think twice about just rampaging on and taking all the other castles nearby. The AI might want to sit there and replenish, buying us a bit of time, and I do have troops on the way to help out on this front. You can see there I was checking out the kills. The Bow Warrior Monks got the most, and that was mostly in melee as well. In the Shimazu turn, they come and attack this bridge defense setup I had set up. Unfortunately for them, they attack with this tiny army. Not sure what the plan was, but they just die. I did have that second stack hidden, so they only saw one stack to fight, but even then it was a bad decision from the AI to go for that. And then, with that first army dead, they decide to try again with their bigger army, so this is a bit more like it. It's still an auto-resolve, really. That balance bar's good enough. That's just spreading a few casualties through our two armies would be fine, but because I was sort of set up and looking forward to this bridge battle, I thought I'd do it manually anyway, because you never know, we might get an even bigger ratio using the advantage the map will give us here. There are two crossings we need to defend here, so we need to split the force in half to guarantee we have both covered as the fight starts. But the enemy are all deployed in front of just the one here, so they now have a nice opportunity. They can rush this crossing and only fight half of my force, and to start with, that is what's happening. These horse archers rush over, and because they're an armoured-ish unit, they're kind of resisting my fire. I was trying to hit them with these archers, but it's not doing all that much. We do have some guns here as well though, and they can shoot through the armour. We're just going to tank their fire against us onto our front line, which does suck because I think these guys are actually quite good archers. Now in the background, here's the main feature of this battle. Our reinforcements are for some reason on the enemy side. That's actually not what I want, because if they were on our side, we would be able to quickly reinforce this bridge and face the enemy as they come across, but with the enemy now turning around to look at my reinforcements behind them, basically that won't be a bridge battle. We're losing the bridge battle because they could fight my reinforcements separately. At least for now. They did commit a few things across the bridge, which we eventually killed. Their general came over and died a bit before going back over to the other side. Even as their army started walking off, they did send back some Onobushi to skirmish with us. That's fine by me. We can use the fire arrows here to counterbalance their armor to some extent and get some extra kills, and that will be a fine fight. But yes, the issue is that their army will now attack my reinforcements. That's just going to be a not particularly advantageous one-on-one army battle. So I was trying to run away to stop them from attacking me, and indeed we eventually achieved this. I ran towards the line and ended up getting enough of this army to be hidden that the AI started ignoring it again and was heading back towards the bridge. I also pulled over most of the stuff at the non-bridge crossing, so we've got everything concentrated and the AI goes back to the bridge crossing plan. Apart from actually these 2 units, they sent a couple of units of cav towards the other crossing. Not sure if they went there specifically to fight the units I left here just in case, or if they were going to try and cross to outflank. But either way, that fight's fine for us, just their light cav against our spears, and then everything else begins to cross the bridge. And here we face another kind of disadvantage of actually doing this bridge battle manually, and that is that the bridge has this invisible wall beside it. The railings are considered physically to go as high as the highest post, and you might note that's higher than the size of a soldier. So you can't actually shoot guys on the bridge from the side. You have to get the right angle, meaning a lot of the shots don't do much and you don't pick up loads of kills as the enemy are concentrated on the bridge, which is a shame because that's a great opportunity. Works much better firing into a ford instead. So yes, everything's going to get across and now we're just going to have a straight up melee. There is still some advantage from the bridge because we can keep the melee front very concentrated, which suits our not particularly melee focused army. And once they're kind of stuck there, we can still rain arrows and shoot around the flanks and things to pick up some more kills. Looks like my guns aren't being terribly helpful right now, but the bows are sniping at the enemy general who's just sort of stuck here, unable to do very much. And we are able to win these melees here. We're going to get the army losses penalty on the enemy early because we've already killed a bunch of units before this fight started. Don't have to kill that many of them to get rid of them. Plus, our reinforcement army being on the field, even though it's not helping at all, is making the balance bar look really good, and I think that demoralizes the enemy as well. I think there is an enemy numbers morale penalty or something like that. Here was my only real strategy. I sent my bow warrior monks into the back of the enemy blob and then popped a war cry to demoralize a whole bunch of units at once. And as you can see, looks like that's had the effect, although I think they were going to rout anyway. They all try to get out of there. We can quickly block off the bridge and pick up all the kills we want, leading to this result. Not sure if that's actually better than the auto-resolve. We've probably got fewer losses than an auto-resolve would have given, but because they're concentrated on certain units, they're harder to get back, so it might actually be more losses in the long run. Hard to say. And there was then also this battle during the end turn sequence. Some rebels near Osaka came to kill themselves. That's fine, but we'll be back to face more of them soon enough. Here is my Mogami revenge force. You might remember I was making a good army. I was going to try and pack an army full of long Yeri, Eshigaru and guns. That plan is gone, so instead we've got a half good army that's got a bunch of good units and a bunch of bad units hastily gathered together, and they're going to march off right now to try and fight the Mogami. Against the Shimazu I wanted to capitalize on our recent win, but actually one of my 2 armies here is stuck because there's a monk blocking the only way for them to walk to the west, so I can only advance with half my force. Luckily, by using night attack, we can take this castle for free right now, and then the other army, well, it's just going to have to sit there. The only other thing it can do is walk east. There is a slow route to get back into the action, but it goes through a bunch of other enemy territory, so a bit too dangerous. Then at the end of the next end turn, this happens again. We've got another battle at Osaka Castle, and it's pretty much the same as the last one, but actually it goes a bit worse in my defense because my katanas were being killed by something here. I couldn't tell what it was at first. I thought it might be their archers. Then I realized they've captured a tower, and the tower is sniping away at my defensive katanas, so that's inconvenient. Means we do less good in terms of holding the enemy outside and shooting them, but when they try to climb up, they still die. We do enough damage with the ranged attacks and then the fighting and melee with good units like Onobushi that they can't get in this way. And that was only half their army as well, because like before, the other half of their army is just kind of dying off elsewhere in the map. They get stuck trying to capture towers, you might remember, and some of them are just walking around not doing too much. I feel a bit bad because this is basically a repeatable glitch that we can use to exploit and get more wins on this map in particular. But on the other hand, if the AI is going to keep making these Buddhist rebels, I am not interested in finishing this campaign unless I can somehow just kind of exploit my way through those potentially more than one rebel battles per turn that's going to keep happening. We get some bad news at the start of the next turn. The Suzuki to our southeast have declared war on us, and that's pretty bad because they were another Ikko faction. We've got another rebellion near Himeji Castle. Guessing that's just going to keep happening as well, so the trouble is brewing. But yes, these guys, the Suzuki, could be trouble for us as well because they have plenty of territory around Osaka Castle, and some of their territory borders Nagashima in the east as well. So basically this area is now completely dangerous. We're at war all over the place, and our two little island fortresses are going to be beleaguered. Meanwhile, we can keep moving down the east coast of Kyushu, and we are able to grab this quick capture with an undefended castle. What I should have done here is make them into a vassal. We get the chance, but I'm not going to take it. It would have been good to make them a vassal, because we don't actually have the public order situation in a good enough state to advance down this road. This army's really just going to have to go back right away, because some of those castles further up north are just ready to rebel. As I've mentioned, it takes us a long time to secure places, because we can't quickly convert them to Ikko-ism, and the penalty from having the wrong religion is pretty big, and with Christianity in this area as well, that only makes things more complicated. So we won't see too much action on that front, but we can keep advancing over here. I am having to thin these armies out and leave units behind bit by bit to secure these castles, but because the religion penalty hasn't built up to be that large yet, we can keep going. And because that monk got out the way, we can now advance with both of our armies. The next castle down the road has a full stack garrison. We can clear out some reinforcements outside and get this set up. I originally thought, well, I'll wait and siege them out because it's only a 2-turn until starvation situation, and my second army can be hidden in the nearby forest just to the north of my stack, and that actually causes that to resolve faster because the garrison sallies out. It's pretty much the same balance bar as before, and again we're seeing a situation that I could auto resolve and it might be better, but for whatever reason I decided to do this and try and get something good going. So let's take a little look. Got a nice couple of mistakes early on from me. One was putting lots of my ranged units behind mounds. You don't really notice that so easily when you're looking with the camera angle high above, but yes, this bumpy ground meant my guns didn't have very good line of sight. Here's another thing I missed. The enemy cavalry charged the guns. I straight up just didn't see it while playing until they were already in melee. I guess I had the camera looking at exactly the wrong point on the battlefield. So that was good, a great start to the fight. At least with the balance bar this good, we don't need to pay too close attention to get a good result. And the AI is being just as bad as me. It's making a big mistake. Their units are just all over the place. They attacked with no formation for some reason, so we can easily focus down the first couple of units. Here was a good move, managed to bait the enemy into attacking some archers, then snuck them back through a Naginata wall to get the enemy's cav into a nice bad fight. A bit further down the line it looks like here I'm about to receive a charge into the front of my guns, but I guess I actually noticed this one and pulled them out of the way. Broadly speaking, we have a big long melee line that's going to extend around the edges of the enemy's blob. So once their formation finally coalesces in front of us, we can go for the surround and pound, and that's going to do the business. I'm sure the balance bar being that good, again, gives them some sort of morale penalty. I don't really know, and the game doesn't really tell you, but we're probably routing them pretty easily because they don't fight for very long, even though they do have a few good units in this army. Once they're running, we want to kill them as much as possible to make the best of this siege draw-out situation. Their general is still alive, so this battle isn't quite over even though everything else is routing. Hit him with some cav and my own general to finish him off. And with a decent amount of cav on the field, I'm able to kill enough stuff by chasing the enemy down that we do get a pretty good result. We kill all but 3 enemies according to the result, and the game's willing to just delete those last 3 and say, fine, you get the castle. So that's great. We get it slightly earlier than we would have otherwise, and we get some extra money from that as well. The Ashikaga Shogunate bribe some rebels to join them there. Never seen that happen before, so that's interesting. And then we see a battle against the Honma. You may recall in the last part, they landed an army and I moved some of my own troops to counter them, but for some reason they spent the last 3 or 4 turns just standing outside the castle doing nothing, and then eventually they came in to make this attack. So here we go, and this is a nice easy defense. Even though the balance bar is not that good for us, their army is terrible and stands very little chance. We get another map that I've never seen before for this one. It's got these big hills just inside the first set of walls. That's actually not that good, because while it means we have some unstated advantage in these melee fights, it blocks the line of sight for your archers inside the castle a lot more. The castle is also too small, so you can see most of my men are just sitting on the capture point because I didn't have space to kind of deploy them out properly. Anyway, I've got plenty of garrison units to sacrifice, so I just leave them outside dying at first. We got a glitch in our favour when a couple of enemy units just got stuck over here near this tower. The tower will very slowly kill them. That sort of tower isn't very good. But basically those units are out of the fight, so that's making things a bit easier for us. They did have some Portuguese troops attacking here, and they're going to absolutely slaughter my garrison Yari militia. But I can throw in my collection of good units like my samurai to fight them instead. This crashes the replay, as you can see, but I'll just skip to pretty much the end of the real footage, because I think you know where this is going. You can see on the bar at the bottom, I've mainly sacrificed the free garrison units and kept the regular units somewhat alive, and we have an overwhelming advantage as the balance bar starts to swing in our favour towards the end. So yes, we win this one without doing anything particularly special, and the enemy force is completely destroyed, so that is the end of their invasion. I'm sure there'll be another one, but for now this army can now go back to defending against the Hatsukiyama, who still haven't done anything against us, which is quite nice. There's another rebellion being popped up, nice and annoying, and now we have a battle with the Suzuki because they come in at Negashima from the west. The army they're attacking with is very bad, so this is another case where they have almost no chance of success, but the balance bar is also really far in their favour for some reason, so we need to see this one out manually. Their mangonels are positioned in range of the one main tower that the enemy have to walk past to get to us. So if they wanted, they could hang back and take it out before they advance to save a couple of hundred lives. That sort of tower is very good because it shoots multiple shots at once in different directions, so as the enemy army climbs all around it. It can easily grab hundreds of kills, especially with the deaths from the wall taken into account. But as it happens, they actually capture it just as the mangonels destroy it, meaning we know they didn't actually avoid any casualties for having used the mangonel. Now the mangonel can't do anything, and everything else will just charge up the road for a battle we've seen a few times before in this series. Only this time our garrison's better because I've upgraded some of the buildings. We've got 2 units of sacrificial samurai and 2 units of bow samurai in the garrison, so better potential for the usual sacrificial strategy, and basically it works. Given what we saw earlier in the series, I was pretty confident I didn't need to really do anything in this fight, so I wanted to check out whether the mysterious climb down into the underworld was still going on, and looks like it is. So good luck down there, boys. All the guys who went down there before were never seen again, but you never know, maybe you will defeat the boss. After a while, everything routs, and we're going to pick up that win pretty easy, so this army was not much of a threat, and we even captured the mangonel, adding to the garrison of the castle. Now some bad news, the Uragami declare war on me. This is the vassal near Himeji Castle, and we see them come at us right away. Unfortunately, they don't go for the heavily garrisoned and powerful Himeji Castle, they attack the not garrisoned and useless tiny castle next door. So this is a pretty bad situation, but seeing that the enemy had tons of trash, I thought I will do this manually again, because things like our samurai might be able to deny the enemy a couple of units at least. We got a really big castle map this time, which was annoying because our garrison is so small that most of the wall is going to be nice and open for the enemy to attack. So yeah, as you can see, I'm playing on fast motion with very little faith in anything happening, so I thought I probably won't even bother giving orders. We'll just throw our men in there and see if anything is achieved. Those militia actually did much worse than I expected defending that bit of wall. Lots of other bits of walls will just be taken for free by the enemy. And then it'll come down to my samurai. I've got 1 unit fighting on the capture point and 1 unit over here mowing people down as they climb over the wall. The guys on the capture point were actually dying surprisingly fast. But then again, I am playing with fast motion on, so I guess everything is surprisingly fast. One nice thing about this big map is it tends to have really long climbs, meaning we have a good chance of picking up extra kills from the enemy falling down. And looking at the bodies on the floor there, we've certainly gotten a lot of those. It's kind of hard to tell how many you're getting as a fight goes on, but we'll see in a second. We did get quite a lot. Eventually the enemy overcome our guys on the capture point and take it just before they finish off killing the last of our troops. But the result's pretty good. We killed like half of them there. So again, that might make them think twice about going to attack something else. But we're now going to go right on to another castle defense because the rebels near Himeji attack. So time to see if Himeji Castle is actually good. It's got a historical castle map, and it gives us a map I've seen before in my old Barbarian Masters campaign. This is a nice map because it's really big and complicated, but it does have a very short route to the capture point if you attack from the north, and the enemy are attacking from the north with many units. The ones attacking from the south, where the route's really long and covered in towers, we can just not worry about those guys. It's like with Osaka, where those units are just going to die far away, or at least take a very long time to reach us. So to start with, the fight's all about this northern wall. Their archers can shoot right into the inner sanctum, which is bad for these archers who are getting killed, until I noticed this and tried to get them out of the way. We do have enough space just about to do the old reeling in thing, so if I run those archers to the other side of the central part of the castle, we can get the enemy archers to make at least the first climb towards us. And this first climb is particularly long, so that's good. All these assaulting units will take something like 20% losses for free, and the tower will shoot them as well, so that's all looking good. We've got a couple of blocking units after the big climb, and they're going to stop the enemy getting much further than that. Plus, these archers, after being baited in by these guys here who are now on the other side, are going to be facing samurai, and they will absolutely annihilate all these Ashigaru archers, especially because the climb reduces the enemy's stamina, making them worse at stuff. So yeah, that's going to go fine in the end, and here we are a bit later. Lots of enemies have died, some of them have routed and are now sitting at the bottom of the wall thinking about climbing again, but the losses taken from a second climb would easily finish them off, so at this stage we are fine here. As for the other units attacking from other directions, there was one unit near this corner that got taken out by sacrificing some Ashigaru to them, and other units are here and there about the castle making the odd attack, but we have so much stuff in the middle we can just easily focus them down once they get close, and they don't have any good units, so that's all fine. And soon we pick up the heroic victory. It all went good, and my hope that Himeji Castle would be nice and defensible seems to be well placed. Looks like we could hold that place against other armies, like that Urigami one if it deigns to attack. The issue is it might not. It might go north and attack all the easier to take places instead. We shall see. I think we're also going to very soon see where this campaign goes, because after this episode of basically millions of relatively easy and not particularly consequential battles, our momentum has been robbed. It looks like we're going to lose territories as fast as we gain them, and the enemy still have more they could throw at us. Most of the enemy factions haven't committed to attacking us yet, and they could, so we're sort of at the mercy of the AI. We needed to make some bad decisions for things to hold together, and it would be nice if things held together, because we're losing money right now. So even though I could just sacrifice all this territory, I'd have to disband a lot of my frontline units at the same time, which would slow things down a lot more, and that could be a downward spiral to defeat. Well, why don't you join me in finding out how it's going to go in the next part.